on the panel is Wame Gladys Ndem, and she serves as the Secretary and Treasurer of the Young African Women Congress Network Cameroon chapter, contributing to youth-led advocacy and community engagement initiatives focused on women's rights and empowerment. She's also leading an empowerment women's center in Cameroon. We also have our third panelist, and the only male in the panel, Dr. Mugisho Dambuli, and he is a Congolese scholar, lecturer, and researcher in gender studies with a master's in conflict resolution and education. He serves with the Global Peace Let's Talk International, focusing on women and children's sustainable empowerment, and is the founder and executive director of COFAPRI, a grassroots organization supporting rural women and children in the DRC. Now we're going to have a very interactive panel dialogue. I presume because we have really, really inspiring expert panelists in the house. And I want to take this opportunity to appreciate all of us who have actually taken the mandate to sacrifice this time to be here for the next 1 hour or so. So to make this conversation engaging and reflective of diverse perspectives, I will be inviting our panelists to contribute interchangeably. So to set the context today, I would like to begin with Ms. Joan. And Ms. Joan, you're going to help us today to kickstart our conversation with this. And could you briefly define female genital mutilation and explain why this practice persists in some countries or communities? Can our technical experts please just give permission to our panelists to be able to unmute their microphone?
What's the name?
Miss Joan, if you are there, please.
Joan.
Miss Joan,
Okay.
Joan Tambelin, yes,
Okay.
please. Joan,
Okay.
please, can you unmute your microphone? Can you
A
briefly just define female genital mutilation and explain why this practice persists in some communities? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Rose. I respect every other panelist. I respect participants of this very enduring topic of discussion. Female genital mutilation is the cutting of parts or the total clitoris of a female girl in order to suppress her sexual appetite. It is being done as a traditional rite in many communities in Cameroon, particularly communities around the Akwaya subdivision, around the Umojok, around Bachuakagbe, around Eyanchang, around Obang villages in the Manu division. It is also being practiced around the Francophone areas around the northern part of Cameroon. And the reason why this particular rite is being carried out is because it is a cultural rite which our parents, our mother, it's very ironical that this rite has been performed by women. It's not even by the men, because most of the time we think that it is being chauvinistic for men to suppress women, according to, especially in traditional rites. But on the contrary, talking about the female genital mutilation, it is the women who are mutilating other women. And according to this, it is the preservation of the girl child, according to the cultural norms, which it will suppress the appetite, the sexual appetite of a girl child, for her not to be engaged in sexual activities, so that she can go to school, so that she can achieve, she will not early engage in sexual activities. According to the tradition, this is in preservation of the girl child, not actually knowing that it is causing a lot of social ills, health ills, as well as economic ills to the girl child. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for setting the context. And I'm sure those of us who are joining this platform today who did not know what female genital mutilation is, very well understand the context through which we are operating today. Let me move to the next panelist, Wame Gladys. Joseph, if you can just let her speak. Gladys, building on this definition of female genital mutilation, could you share some of the physical, psychological, and social consequences of female genital mutilation? Gladys. Do we have Gladys, please? Can you unmute your microphone?
Already given you the access to talk, Gladys.
Gladys, can we have you speak on some of the physical, psychological, and social consequences of female genital mutilation? Kindly unmute your microphone, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you 5 on 5. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The consequences of female genital mutilation, as you said, are enormous, especially on the girl child on whom this kind of practice is done. First of all, there are health consequences. This is an act that is done that can give physical pain and emotional pain at the same time. It gives emotional trauma. Physical pain, health-wise, it's kind of surgery that is performed by non-specialists. We don't even know if their hands are washed. We cannot tell if they do sterilize their material. We don't even know if they do it on the right position. And the worst thing is that it's done on the pearl of the girl, on the most precious part of the girl. So, as I said, it gives a lot of social, a lot of health challenges. This practice can lead the girl into sicknesses, as infections stemming from the non-sterilization of the material. It also has, like you already mentioned, psychological consequences on the girl child. Rose, you bear with me that it is not easy for you as a grown-up person, for any other woman, to open her laps, even for checkup in the hospital. When you go to the hospital and you are sick, and the doctor has to examine you, that part is like, it's a part that needs to be preserved. Even when it is sick, that part doesn't need to be open. So you can imagine the kind of trauma that the girl child goes through when other people, against her will, have to go through that part and perform a surgery, as I call it. So with this, the psychological trauma goes further, because when a girl feels that she has been used in the way that she doesn't like, it makes her not be able to give the best of her in the community. She can't perform very well. It makes her shy. It makes her feel that she develops low self-esteem. And once you have low self-esteem, you can't give the best you have in your community, in your own household, with your own self. She tends to shy away from public. We also think about even socialization with other girls, socialization with people of the opposite sex. Remember, as Joanne just mentioned, this act is done in order to stop the girl child from being sexually active. So it creates a barrier between her and the men, potential husbands, let me call them this way. The men are running away from her. They know she will not be sexually active. She will not give her best, so they will not also get satisfaction if we go to her for marriage. She herself, since it's something like, it also goes in line with rape, it goes in line with fistula. Those are the kind of things that people don't want to talk about. So she feels very, very low and can't even mention that she went through it. And because she can't mention that she went through it, it also makes healing very difficult. And so she remains in that pain for quite a long time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy that you've really given some details about some of the consequences or some of those physical, psychological, and even social consequences of female genital mutilation. If you look at the chat room, you will discover that a lot of countries are not even aware about this practice. Like Insha says, it is not practiced in Pakistan. And then Tariq also say, I'm horrified to learn that mothers are mostly responsible, as he knew about FGM, but this information is new to him. And it is not practiced in Turkey. And in the USA, 500,000 girls face this challenge. And then Dr. Shimane said, even in India, it is not practiced. So it is something that it's like a learning opportunity today for us to understand what another part of the world is of female genital mutilation. Now, this takes me to the next question, where Dr. Mugisho, from a gender studies and global advocacy perspective, why does female genital mutilation remain an important issue being discussed even today? Dr. Mugisho. Kindly unmute your microphone, Dr. Mugisho. And just to indicate that, please, the chat room is very available. Please drop your questions, drop your feedback, and the panel will be picking it up and reading it for the panelists to pick them up. So please, Dr. Mugisho, if you are ready, kindly just tell us why this is still a topical issue today.
Thank you, Rose, for giving me the floor. Thank you, everybody gathered here for this great moment today. So, female genital mutilation, or FGM, also called female cutting or female circumcision, it remains an urgent global discussion because it is a widespread human rights violation affecting over 230 million girls all over the world, with severe, lifelong, severe consequences for health, dignity, and equality for women and girls. Despite progress in addressing this social issue, millions of girls here and there in the world are still at risk each year, making awareness, advocacy, and prevention critical. So, discussion is very important because it raises awareness. Many communities still see female genital mutilation as a cultural or traditional. Ongoing dialogue might help challenge these norms. We have to discuss because we want to make advocacy. This will show sustained pressure, which ensures government enforce laws and provide protection for girls no matter where they are if this abuse is being committed. We must discuss because we want to empower. We want to empower survivors' voices in order to inspire change and protect future generations of girls. We have to discuss as well because we want to educate. We educate young girls about rights and health. This is a way we can build resilience against harmful practices. So, this kind of education will include both boys and girls because boys have to understand that women shouldn't be respected, girls should be respected. Girls should understand that what is being done on them is not something good. It is depriving them of their rights, mostly sexual rights. That is all I have to answer on this question. Thank you, Rose.
Amazing, Dr. Mugisho. And we now see the reason why we need to actually treat this as a priority, because the girl child is really facing a lot when it comes to this female genital mutilation, especially in countries where this is practiced. Like I just saw in the chat room in Kenya, they are still practicing female genital mutilation. And now we also have another feedback here from Bukart, who says it is a 5,000-year-old practice and a tradition in Africa, and a tradition in Africa only. It is not an Islamic practice, and it is not even allowed in the Islam. But a lot of people here and there think it is even an Islamic law which produce lot of problems with daughters of such traditional thinking. Muslims living in diaspora. Lots of education is necessary. So we have in here with us, like in Germany, several organizations informing about helping African women with the trauma and also in Africa. And the first of what is necessary is to give the women doing this traditional job to the girls is to get funds and chances for another job to earn money. So this is very, very important. Thank you very much, Bukat. And this is taking me now to where we practically share some of the experiences in context. So we now move to Joan. Joan, please, can you share this practice in Cameroon? How has it evolved? In which cultural context is it most associated? Joan, if you're listening to me, kindly just share the experience of Cameroon today. Is Joan there, please? Can you just unmute your microphone and speak? If we can't have Joan, at least Gladys, can you just let us know how this practice is evolving in Cameroon and in which cultural context it is most associated? Gladys.
Thank you once again, Rose. We are lucky to say that in Cameroon, out of the 10 regions, we have just 3 regions that practice it. I, for one, as I'm talking, I am in the northwest region of Cameroon, and for 10 years that I've worked here, I have hardly seen one case, even though it still remains a cause for concern. It's mostly practiced in the north of Cameroon, where you have 5.4% of the girls who go through it. Also in the southwest, about 2%. The act is gradually dying out in the southwest. It was higher than that, but as at now, the statistics show just about 2%. And in East Cameroon, where it's in the neighborhood of 1%. So that's why I said we are lucky that it's gradually dying out, and it's only practiced in 3 parts of Cameroon.
Thank you very much, and we are grateful to hear that at least there is some mark change in terms of how it has evolved, and this is really because of the advocacy and the awareness creation that stakeholders and actors keep enforcing on the field to make sure that perpetrators of gender-based violence are actually held accountable to such unhealthy practices against the girl child. And like Dr. Mogisho said in the chat room, female genital mutilation is an abuse to women and girls, and men instigate laws under patriarchy and masculinity to abuse girls in the form of female genital mutilation. And Dr. Ash, thank you for your suggestion, your comments, where you said genital mutilation is a barbaric practice widespread in Africa, and she says she knows women in the United Arab Emirates who married Emiratis who were infibulated because they were Egyptian or African from many other countries, such as Somalia. This barbaric practice was then also practiced on the daughters of these poor women by their own mothers. Torture and similar cruelty should also be punished and prosecuted and demonstrate a lack of culture. So education is the foundation of knowledge and social ethics, but a good education requires balanced and ethically trained educators and teachers. Unfortunately, education is often managed by unhealthy and biased government structures, as well as by religious institutions that do not promote equal opportunities. Very worrying concern there. And of course, Sylvester says female genital mutilation persists not because people are cruel, but because it is deeply embedded in social systems and beliefs. In many countries, FGM is a cultural and social norm. It is seen as rite of passage of womanhood, a market of cultural identity, and something most cultures do, making it hard for families of belonging to such culture to stop it. So it is really a big concern. So coming to you, Dr. Mugishu, from a research and conflict resolution perspective, what factors continue to drive the practice across communities? Dr. Mugishu? What do
Yes,
you
Rose.
think?
Yes,
What do
Rose.
you think are some of the factors that drive this practice across communities?
Yes, there are many factors, and among them, importantly, we can talk about cultural norms. Cultural norms are those factors that push some societies to cut women or to mutilate them, what is called genital mutilation. So they do this because in some communities they believe if a woman is cut the clit, for example, the woman will not be sensitive sexually. According to them, they think that that will help the woman not to be involving in sexual promiscuity, for example, because those traditions think that when a woman is not cut, the woman will be loving other men, and then for them they think that cutting a part of the clit will make the woman to stay in their homes, and which is a kind of abuse. What is regrettable, what is sad on this practice is that it is the women who are taught to apply it to their daughters, which is kind of it is something normally society should fight against. I always think that women contribute to abuse to other women in this sense. I would I would recommend the women to oppose this practice because it devalues girls, it devalues women. It is not something we should support. So these traditions should be addressed in a way or another through education from family level. For example, mothers and fathers should be teaching children that uh, female genital mutilation is not something we should be supporting. Schools as well should be talking about this issue to girls and to boys as well, because it has to go with the boys and girls, because when those boys grow mature, they are the ones who make those rules to cut women. And girls should be spoken to, because girls should understand that they must enjoy their rights and not be cut part of their bodies. Also, government should be involved. Why government should be involved? They should be involved because if they make laws that completely completely refuse people to be cutting girls, I think it can be something positive. They should even make laws that can be sanctioning, severely sanctioning women and men who are involved in that kind of shameful abuse.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mugisho. That is really a sharp message there to governments and to structures that still give rise to unhealthy practices like this. And I read these comments from a Google Pixel 7. If you can please just rename so we can properly introduce your name when we are reading your comments. And the person says genital mutilation used to be a rampant and part of African history, but with the evolution of time, the percentage is really invisible. And I could hardly believe such practices still exist in my country, Cameroon. We are learning. And of course, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. And Dr. Nikki says, is this practice law in some countries? Are governments supportive of this? At which age group are girls required to have this done, and what are the medical concerns? So this is a question I think, Gladys, can you please, this is very, very important. Is this like law in some countries? For example, take the case of Cameroon, and is our government supporting it as well? And which age group is mostly affected, Gladys?
Um, the age group that is affected is 13. That's 9 to about 13. They do it to
Okay.
girls 9 to about 13. Even though the perpetrators say it has a time within which it will expire, maybe from the age of 18 to 20, whatever was done at 13, at 9 has to expire. So that is the age group that really suffers. But no, the government is not for it. The government is not for it. The constitution of the country, Cameroon, of 1996, Constitution of 1996, which was revised in 2008, in its preamble, it states that everyone has the right to physical and moral integrity, and that under no circumstance shall any person be subjected to torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment. That says the law. And lately, law number 2016/007 of 12 July 2016, referred to as the Penal Code in Cameroon, contains a section specifically on the criminalization and prohibition of FGM, of female genital mutilation. That's the main law on female genital mutilation. So if you and perpetrators can have a sanction of between 10 to 20 years if they are caught. Unfortunately, the problem that we have at the level of our laws may be just that very few people report cases to the right places. Like I mentioned at the beginning that FGM is like rape, it's like fistula. It's that kind of thing that brings shame, that brings low esteem. So sometimes, even when it is done to somebody who has heard about what the law can do, the person does not really move up. The people surrounding her don't move up to the law. And so it remains unknown. And what is unknown is difficult to be thrashed. It's difficult to be handled. That is one of the challenges we have as far as the law handling FGM is concerned. But the law is there, and the law protects the girl child, protects human beings, just like all the international community fighting for the rights of every human being. But if we have cases, we are just encouraging people who know cases to make them come up, talk about it, report them to the right quarters. Even though, again, the law sometimes has shortcomings in the sense that it is not every human being, it's not every citizen who can interpret the law. It's not every citizen who has a copy of the document of law, and even those who have cannot really interpret it. But all the same, since we have people fighting against this barbaric act, those who get involved, those family members of the people, of victims, should always come out and talk about it. And before you know it, there will be somebody to help them even interpret the law and help them follow it up. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Bukat. I think you have maybe something to add in connection to this feedback from Gladys, who has adequately given us responses in the context of Cameroon. Maybe in just 1 minute, because this is a platform where we will listen to all the panelists, then we now bring the rest of the participants in. Please just chip in something for 1 minute in connection to this.
Sorry, in 1 minute it is not possible. Then I say nothing. This is
if it is not possible, please, can you just wait towards the end so that the panelists flow with their feedback, and then you can come at the end of it. Thank you. So we are moving forward, and we are asking Dr. Gladys, what initiatives and interventions have been implemented in Cameroon so far to stop female genital mutilation?
Like I said, the government is ready to punish, to sanction in the way the law says any perpetrator. But for now, what we do is, first of all, education. It is not just about sanctioning, it's about education, education, education. And I think that the people who need to be educated the most are women, because unfortunately, it is the women that perpetrate this act on other women. So we need that education, that the women, all the women should stand up for the cancellation, stand up for the stopping, for the eradication of this barbaric act. In that way, other men will follow them. When we talk to men, invite them to join us, they will understand. Because we cannot start this fight and then put the men aside. We let the women spearhead it, and men will come in. So I insist on education, sensitization on education. And we also encourage survivors and people surrounding them, people around them, family members, to report the matters. And then we also wish that the laws should be so stringent on such practices. The law should be stringent and enforced to handle anybody who goes contrary to the respect of human rights. Punish them. Luckily for Cameroon, like I already said, Cameroon has taken steps to redress the barbarism. Development of a plan that Cameroon has this development of a plan in 2011 aimed at enhancing the detection of cases, because I already mentioned that it's not easy to detect cases. So the law already put some provisions in place so as to be able to detect cases, even if the cases are not reported. Yes, just like in other situations where the woman too is violated, there are ways that experts on the field will be able to detect which woman has been violated. So that part is already a very good step. And the country also is a signatory to several international legal instruments, such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, like they call it what, CEDAW. The Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, CAT. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, CRC. These treaties all show Cameroon's commitment to safeguard the rights and well-being of the woman and the girl child in particular. FGM, it should be noted, is not only a barbaric cultural practice, but a violation of human rights with far-reaching implications for individuals and communities. The legal framework in Cameroon reflects the severity of the matter, with penalties, as I already mentioned, ranging from 10 to 20 years of imprisonment if found guilty. There are also safe spaces that, like the Ministry of Women's Empowerment in Cameroon has safe spaces, and other organizations will also have safe spaces to receive victims while cases are being handled. The victims can have a safe place for dialogue, for listening, hearing, and all of that, and their protection, their safeguarding while the case is being followed up.
Okay.
But we are also saying that there are other things that the government can do, like provide healthcare services to affected communities and educate them more. Let there be some healthcare services that can handle affected, especially places like the north. I mentioned that the north in Cameroon has a higher prevalence. So if they have healthcare that can handle those things, those cases will be very better. They can also support front activists, those who are standing for it, who stand up for that's to stop this kind of act. They should be promoted. They should be encouraged, even by way of giving them money, by way of enabling them function without any troubles. Protect them while they function. We can also involve men, like said Dr. Mogisho. We can involve men. Let it not be a woman's kind of thing. Let men come into it. Let them be our he's for she's, so that we can change social norms in this narrative. I hope we all remember that in most cultures, it is about men, men, men. In cultural settings where the laws are being made, you can't have up to how many women. So the majority, it's of late that women even started infiltrating those cycles. And so the majority of decisions are taken by men. So let women and men work together to eradicate this. We keep raising awareness.
I may just stop you there, Gladys, and move over to Joan. And Joan, what really gives you hope in terms of the progress made in Cameroon and other African countries in terms of female genital mutilation actions on the ground? Can you unmute your microphone, please? Joseph, can you enable Joan to speak, please? As Joan, as you come in to speak, let's hear from
Joan can speak. Joan can speak.
Joan.
Already
Can you
gave her
unmute your
the,
microphone and speak, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Joseph, for unmuting me. I've been trying to unmute it, and they say my host need to grant me permission. Okay, thank you so much, Madam Rose. I was kicked out by network, but thank God that I'm back. What gives me hope for the eradication of this devastating female genital mutilation or cutting is that the societies in Cameroon, the practicing societies in Cameroon have been enlightened. Parents have been enlightened because female genital mutilation is not something that some superior people or like the men, because most of our communities are chauvinistic. It's not something that men will hold and say that it is us, the men, that are doing it. It is the women that are doing it. And the communities have now stood against the female genital mutilation. And if they know that you are a perpetrator of the female genital mutilation, or you are a female genital mutilation surgeon, a traditional female genital mutilation surgeon, you the person now are the one being ostracized. Yes, people now look at you and say, this is this mama, this is this mother who goes around initiating other women to 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 uh, to cut off other younger women. So even in social gatherings is not being promoted. Parents are now enlightened. Those our old parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents who initiated these practices have all gone to rest. They have all gone to the world beyond. And our younger parents now have now understood the devastating effects of female genital mutilation on the health of our girls. Because most of these girls at a certain age, even at 30, they don't even have sexual drive. So most of these our parents have now understood, and they are being shamed for promoting this kind of activities, and they are not doing it anymore. My hope is that the communities have now rose, that are now against this devastating traditional rights. And it's not only this female genital mutilation rights that people are against. We also have other traditional rights, like when your husband dies, there is this juju that will come on you and beat you and almost naked you. So all these kind of very devastating, dehumanized traditional rights are being shamed, are being refused, are being denied, are being now ostracized in our communities. My hope is that the young girls now understood their rights. My hope is that the communities now understood that the woman's right is also a human, the human right is also a woman's right. My hope is that people have now gone to school and they have seen that all these traditional rights, including female genital mutilations, are not good for a human being, not to even talk of a woman who is the mother of humanity. My hope is that even the men have now understood that there are certain rights that they perpetrate on women, that those rights are not okay, and that they are refusing those rights. My hope is that our communities have now become enlightened against traditional rights that ostracized, that dehumanized, that mistreat women. And we are seeing the light, one village at a time. We may not all get it at the same time, but from my village to the next village, to the next village, we are getting enlightened, and we are denying these frustrating traditional rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. And this is really, really important that we each take our responsibility and make sure that we offer a zero tolerance to ending female genital mutilation from our different ends, whether we are the women perpetrators, the male perpetrators, the system. We need to all act right now. And now it takes me to this to ask Dr. Mugisho. Are there any obstacles to implementing long-term solutions, particularly in rural and conflict-affected areas, when it comes to female genital mutilation?
Thank you, Rose, for once more giving me the floor. Of course, there are a lot of challenges. Although there can be solutions to end female genital mutilation, there are still significant obstacles that make progress challenging. Understanding those barriers uh, might help um might help addressing the issue completely. So, among the obstacles there are many, of course, but we have cultural and social norms. In many communities, female genital mutilation is seen as a rite of passage or requirement for marriage. So families fear social exclusion if their daughters are not cut. Changing traditions can take time and requires trust building with elders and leaders. So there is also resistance. How should I put this? There are some people who resist against legal enforcement. So even where laws exist, you can still see that enforcement is very weak. Also, probably local leaders may hesitate also to intervene in what is considered as cultural matter. They do hesitate because this is built in patriarchy, and patriarchy is connected to masculinities. So you understand that it is mostly men who support masculinities, mostly toxic masculinities. Therefore, they will be supporting or they will be keeping quiet, meaning that they cannot destroy themselves. So we have also families that sometimes perform cutting on their daughters. They do it secretly to avoid punishment. This happens in the context of resistance to legal enforcement, as I said. We also have reduced education and awareness. When education and awareness are limited, we can see, for example, many parents who are unaware of the health risks of or belief myths. For example, you might see that female genital mutilation makes girls clean or honorable. These are just lack of information. That is what people think, but it is not indeed. My colleagues who presented before, they spoke about health issues that are generated by this practice. So in rural areas, access to accurate information is limited as well. Without education, for example, you can see that harmful practices will continue to spread across generations. We have another barrier that is economic and gender equality. So, in this context, we can look at poverty. When people lack opportunities, for example, I mean women, when women lack opportunities, reinforcement will be like an expression of dependence on marriage, where the cutting is often a prerequisite. Women and girls may lack the power to refuse or challenge decisions made by elders. This is why my colleagues spoke about that men and women should unite to address these horrible practice. We also have health challenges. So, in some regions, for instance, female cutting is medicalized, performed by health workers, which falsely legitimizes the practice. Also, we can see survivors who lack access to specialized medical and psychological care, leaving trauma unaddressed in the minds of these female victims. So the list is very, very long, but allow me to stop by here. Those are the key challenges that immediately came through my mind as you asked me this question. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Dr. Mugisho. I think this thing is really a topical concern across countries that are still having it as a real headache or a real stumbling block to ending female genital mutilation among girls, especially. And this is why I'm coming to you, Gladys. From a youth advocacy standpoint, what role can young people as well as community organizations play in prevention?
Thank you once again, Rose. At the level of young people, what we do, even back here in Cameroon, is we form what they call gender clubs in schools. We form gender clubs, and those gender clubs educate the girl child, the children at their young ages, of the existence and the differences that make up the two, that's the boys and the girls, and the admittance of both as human beings. They are trained in those. They are being trained in those gender clubs, so that as they grow up, they know that this thing is for the girl child, and it is right for it to be this way. We talk about menstruation. We talk about a lot of things about the the physiology of the girl child and the boy child, and they accept it the way it is. And so we also talk about this kind of evil practices. I call them evil. About this kind of practices, and we educate them not to accept. The boys are there in the clubs. They should not accept it. The girls should not accept it to be done on them. The boys should join the girls in rejecting that kind of practice. They should carry the message and tell their other peers who don't have the opportunity to be in school to belong to those clubs. So when they go around other parts of the community, they should be able to tell the rest of the world that these kind of practices are bad, and so should not be encouraged. So far, for now, we depend mostly on the gender clubs. We do sensitization on the radio. We do sensitization in meeting houses for parents, so they know that this kind of practice on their girl children is not a good one. But we also want to nip it at the level of the children themselves back in schools.
Thank you very much, Gladys. This is very important. I like the issue of those gender clubs, which definitely can help young girls and young boys to work together to end this evil or unorthodox practice. Now, coming to you, Juan, if you can start unmuting your microphone, what does a practical way forward look like for communities working to end female genital mutilation?
Madam Rose. The practical way for ending the FGM is, I think we should implement the SASA methodology of ending on an acceptable right through the use of both males and females. For example, it is violence against women. It's being perpetrated by both men and women, though in this case it's being perpetrated by women to women. But the community, as the men community, accepted this before it is being practiced, because at the end of the day, our communities are should. So if men don't accept a particular right, they will not permit the women to do it. So putting in the SASA methodology, that is implementing it in such a way that the men and the women will be involved in the zero tolerance to female genital mutilation. If the men, who are the strength of our communities, who are the authorities of our communities, if they say, no, we don't want this particular practice to be done on our children, it will automatically stop, because the men are most traditional authorities. They are most our husbands. They are most, according to culture, they are the people who are in front. They are the leaders in traditional setup. So if we involve both the men and the women, will come to
looks like
level of zero tolerance to female genital mutilation. We should equally not allow this female genital mutilation be an issue an issue of people who have gone to school, people who should study and know that this act is not good. To bring it right down to that, it means we have to our communities through it enable us to understand it looks like, please.
yeah, Joan, it looks like your line it's a bit shaky.
We use meetings in the neighborhoods and villages.
Yeah, I think we're having some technical challenges there from Joan. If you can come back, please, we will be happy to have you. And of course, this is time for us to get a little bit into the participants right now. Before I get into the participants, and I just want the panelists to catch their breath. Thank you very much, Joan. I like the aspect of using the SASA methodology. It has to do with start the action right now to involve men and women. It's an inclusive strategy that involves young boys, young girls, men and women to end female genital mutilation. And just to say that from Harriet, who says in some cultures, women are being brainwashed that girls who have not undergone FGM are considered unsuitable for marriage, which can pressure families to comply. And Dr. Nikki says, yes, we should speak for fathers. We should speak to fathers and mothers and partners with those supporting an end to this practice. Thank you. And Silvano says, I'm so happy to be part of this program today because I have an organization called Stop Gender-Based Violence and Female Genital Mutilation. It's our key focus because it's commonly a practice in his country. And of course, Dr. Ash speaks on child marriage, which is a global problem, as every 7 seconds a child is forced into marriage with some statistics there. And of course, we have Sylvester, who makes reference to the World Health Organizations having 4 main types of practice in different regions when it comes to these practices, which of course, I'm sure some of us have already read them. And Shabina says, Islam forbids causing harm to the body as it is a trust from God. Female genital mutilation is not mentioned in the Quran and is widely considered a cultural practice found in some African and certain Asian communities rather than an Islamic requirement. So many contemporary scholars deem harmful forms of it forbidden under the principle of no harm. And Kennedy says it is forbidden to undergo FGM. Let us learn how to end FGM in our community. Now, I will open the floor to our participants, our advocates, our practitioners, and experts joining us here today. And if you have a question, a reflection, or experience, please raise your virtual hand and indicate in the chat room. And I already had a hand that has been waiting for a long time. Bukat, the floor is yours to chip in your contribution, and then we'll just wait for our panelists to be listening to some of your contributions. Bukat, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rosie. Yeah, I was involved in some projects about female genital mutilation, and I have spoken to some women who have this trauma because I'm the founder of the Society of German Somali Friendship. And in Somalia, this is very heavy, like it is also mentioned by Franca before. And but it's not only Somalia. It is, you can say, all countries until Central Africa, more or less. And of course, there are some differences between people living in the city and the people living in rural areas. But I know Somali women, young women, they were not cut. but they have huge, huge problems with their mothers, grandmothers, aunts who have had this trauma. And they simply don't accept her to being a real daughter. So this is a big, big, big conflict in the generations. Even educated, we always said education, education, and this is correct. But I have a lot of examples where educated people have brought their daughters from London, from Toronto, from wherever to Africa to get these cuttings. It's unbelievable, but true. And I was involved in a project by a German organization called Target. It is in Hamburg. And Target is one of these key organizations in Germany who inform about this FGM. Another one is called Intact. Another one is called Nala. Nala is by Faduma Korn in Munich. She is the niece of the last Somali president before the civil war. And she is helping hundreds of Somali women in Germany with surgeries, with whatever psychological issues to get help here. So, and what was done by Target was they made a TV report about this in Mauritania, a country what most people never heard about. So Mauritania, they have it like the other Muslim countries, they don't forbid it. It is not forbidden. It is not, also not allowed. And this is one of the key information that in Islam, everything is allowed, what is not forbidden. So because this is not forbidden, it is allowed. But it has no Islamic tradition. It is overlapping culture and Islam here. And so the government has no law against. Then they went to the great mufti, so the highest religious clerus in Mauritania. And they go there with a camera and they ask him, please tell us, is this and this and this practice, is this under Islamic law? They did not ask whether this is good for the girls or bad for the girls. They did not ask whether they have pain, whether they have a trauma. This is not important for them. It's only important, is it an Islamic law? It's the only rule. So this man, he made a meeting with all the clerus people of Mauritania, and they made an appointment. For 4 weeks later. So the camera team have remained in West Africa, coming back to Nouakchott, the capital, and then there was an official statement, FGM is not a rule of the Islam, point. And then the government took this and made a law of it. Otherwise, it does not work. What has to be done is the people who are the, let's say, the rulers of Islam, which are in Mecca and in Tehran, they have to make a law against. Otherwise, it will not stop because, as I said before, I know a lot of educated Muslim people who have done this for their daughters, with their daughters. And this really, so it is written here, it is not allowed in Islam. This is not correct.
One more minute, Booker, please.
Hello?
You have 1 more minute to round off, please, so we can give the floor to others.
Okay. So the problem is that wish and practice has a big difference. And what is done in the villages is totally different than what the law said. Even in Somalia, now there is a law that this is forbidden, but the people in the villages, they don't care. I think there is not even one Islamic country who allows this. But there are a lot of countries who don't forbidden it. That's the point. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've learned from these practical examples that you've raised. Booker, this is really realistic, and it adds some context into all the discussions we've raised today, especially with the key points. I think just listening not only to Cameroon, maybe to India or to Muslim, we've heard a lot about the other contexts you've mentioned, and especially about FGM and Islam and these countries you've actually highlighted. So this is a pointer to us that this thing is still a top priority in many countries. And just to indicate that, there's someone with the name HP, I don't know if it's Ada Riza, who says FGM is not traditional, a practice to be eliminated. It's not culture, but violence does not protect women, it harms them. Talking about it, raising awareness, and protecting girls are essential to defend women's dignity and health. Oh, Adari, so I said it. And of course, thank you very much for that. And we also have Nuzat, who says it's forbidden in Islam, but there are different sects. Some sects believe it is allowed. A lot of Muslims don't know real Islam. Thank you very much, Dr. Nikki, for following up very meticulously as usual. Please, if we have other contributions, kindly just indicate with the virtual raise your hand button, and you'll be given the floor to speak before we go straight away to have one last word from our panelists. Then we can hand over the closing remarks to our CEO and founder of the Global Peace Let's Talk, and of course, the president of the Young African Women Congress. Then we wrap up for today. Do we have any other contributions, please? We've had a lot of contributions in the chat room already, a lot. So please, if you can do screenshots, but already this is streamlined on our YouTube channel. And of course, we'll have a recording of this particular special international panel discussion, which if you didn't have time to really follow up, at least you can follow up at your convenience in the comfort of your house or at the workplace. And of course, we will be having this one very important question to our panelists, and this marks your last word. What is that one action individuals or communities can take immediately to help end female genital mutilation? I start with you, Gladys. Just 30 seconds to 1 minute. What is that one action?
Thank you very much. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you are unmuted. So we're
Thank you very
getting
much,
5 and 5.
Rose. I always say the blind respect for tradition, irrespective of consequences, is the blindness of the entire society. And I say any cultural practice that does not promote health in a healthy body is against the human being. So traditions are supposed to protect the well-being of their people while flaunting their riches and beauty and uniqueness. So as we observe from one edition to another of this FGM, let us amplify the voices of survivors and advocates, championing their resilience and determination to end FGM once and for all by uniting our commitment to protect the rights and dignity of every individual. We can create a future free from the scourge of FGM. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that call to action. Straight away, Dr. Mugisho, what is that one action individuals or communities can take in less than a minute to help end female genital mutilation? Can you unmute your microphone, please? Can you unmute your microphone, Dr. Mugisho, before you speak? We can't hear you. We can still hear you. We can still hear you, Dr. Mugisho. Unmute your microphone. Are you getting us, Dr. Mugisho? Unmute your microphone, please. Okay, it looks like we can't really get Dr. Mugisho. Joan, please, on behalf of Global Peace, on behalf of the Young African Women's Congress Network as president and as a panelist, what is that one action individuals and communities can take to immediately help end female genital mutilation in less than 1 minute?
Thank you very much, Madam Grace. What I will say is that female genital mutilation should not be a family secret. It is a crime and it must be punishable. Well, a message I want to leave to each and every one of us and to every community is that we should speak up. Each time you see any trace of female genital mutilation, please report to appropriate authorities so that measures could be taken to end female genital mutilation. Let us place a zero tolerance.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joan. Dr. Mugisho, are you ready to unmute your microphone, please?
And other traditional, and they are suppressing the image of the woman.
Dr. Mugisho, are you ready for us? If you can unmute your microphone. Still no luck. We're moving to Ada. Miss Ada, please, in just 30 seconds, just chip in your contribution. Host, can you unmute HP? HP, Ada Rizzo is HP. Unmute Ada, give the permission for Ada to unmute herself.
Unmute. Good afternoon to all, and thank you, Rosa, for giving me the floor. Thank you, Nikki Di Pina and Franca Colozzo. It's an honor for me to be here this today from Kenya, when I'm currently based with the end of April. Being here makes the topic we are addressing even more urgent, as female genital mutilation is unfortunately still a widespread practice in many communities. And our focus is important because it's not only a matter of health and human rights, but also a dignity, empowerment, and the future of entire communities. FGM is a violation that silences, harms, and scars. But today we are here, make a little step to break that silence by listening to women and girls, by giving space to their voices. We can transform pain into strength and silence into advocacy. Every testimony, every voice raised is a step towards freedom and justice. Let us remember, ending female genital mutilation is not only about protection of bodies, but about restoring voices, dignity, and future. Today, by listening and amplifying the voices of women and girls, we take a step closer to a world where silence is broken and becomes action. Thanks to all.
Thank you, our own Ada, for that wonderful call to action. We are so blessed to have you and that inspiring and teaching message. And of course, we now have Dr. Mugisho. In less than 1 minute, what is that one action individuals and communities can take to end female genital mutilation?
Thank you very much, Rose. I think it is we as men, we should start teaching, educating our family members about this issue, starting with the children and our wives. Because if many families can happen to understand that this is an abuse, then many families will have an impact, a very positive impact to break this issue in communities, in societies, and at the national level. if families do not understand the negative effect of this abuse, I think even the government will not be successful, because families will still do it in hidden ways, and the practice will still be spread over communities. So women, we should teach our wives, our children, boys and girls, that this is an abuse. It shouldn't be done to any female child.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for that wonderful words there from you, Dr. Mugishu. And Booker says we should not forget that governments, NGOs, whatever, have to be able to give those women working in this industry to have another source of income. I know about initiatives where women get sewing machines, material to change all, money, mini loans to start another job and new channels of income. How much it worked out, I don't know. Good question there. Bukat, the words you said in Quran are not about FGM. There is no word or evidence in Islam. This is another one for a future debate. And of course, Adar Rizzo has already spoken to us, and Shabina says, similar to how the Indian government criminalized instant triple talaq with legal penalties, a clear and specific law banning FGM with strict punishment for those who perform or facilitate it could act as a strong deterrent alongside legal action, public awareness, and clear statements from religious leaders that FGM is not a religious requirement. Would strengthen prevention. And of course, Ada says, let us remember ending female genital mutilation is not about protecting bodies, but also about restoring voices and dignity as well as futures. We must learn to speak up. So this is about it today. And before we wrap up, I would like to invite the CEO and founder and an international award-winning peace advocate, global peace advocate, Dr. Nikki DePina of the Global Peace Let's Talk International, to deliver a vote of thanks on our behalf. Dr. Nikki, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rosalind. My sincere appreciation, firstly, to the organizers in the communication team with Rosalind, and the whole team that supported the event, making the post and setting up the Zoom. Everything you do is making a difference. And then special thanks to the guest speakers. We have learned from you. One of the things that we do when we have guest speakers, we take note of what you have shared to us, and we look at ways of how can we introduce that into a program. And we absolutely love that, because it's real. You're on the ground. You're teaching us something that we can use. So thank you so much for that. And all of you that found the time to attend, thank you so much. We really love the audience. And every comment that you add, every feedback that you add makes a difference. So thank you to the whole team.
Thank you very much. And please, one last moment for us to have a group photograph. If your camera is not yet switched on, please activate your camera so that our technical crew, Joseph, Didan, we want to give you a special thank you. Insha Nuzat, thank you so very much. Martin Kobia of the communications team, and every other person that put forces together for us to realize this special panel discussion. And of course, we will not forget to reiterate that this special panel discussion was thanks to the Global Peace Let's Talk in partnership with the Young African Women Congress Network, especially of the Cameroon chapter. We want to thank these two dynamic organizations for putting resources and forces together for us to realize this International Day to mark the end or zero tolerance to end female genital mutilation. And on behalf of the organizers, partners and panelists, thank you all for joining to mark this today's event. And let us know that ending female genital mutilation requires continued dialogue, community engagement, policy commitments, and collective courage, like all of us have mentioned in the chat room and through our panelists and our active discussions and experience sharing. And so let us leave this space informed, inspired, and ready to act. And so we want to thank you, and it's been an honor for me to also moderate this panel session today. And we want to keep this conversation going and to see if we can be able to invite other actors in the course of the year to keep talking about this unorthodox practice that has to really be enforced using different strategies to bring this to a zero tolerance rate. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful day, have a wonderful evening, and have a wonderful night. And goodbye to you all. And until we meet again for another session, it's been a great one. Thanks to our great panelists. Thank you so much. So you are free to exit, and you are free to also unmute your microphones and you speak. You can say thank you, you can say bye, you can actually express your views anyhow.
Okay, best greetings to Nikki. I'm glad to see you. And as I see you, you are some years younger.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tariq, my father's distant ancestors from Cameroon. Wow, that's good. Thank you.